I wish I could make it so like one eye is looking at one cube and the other eye is looking at the other cube, but I can't do that.
That's good enough. I like that. Okay, Chai,
I don't know what I look like.
Your expression is terrible.
Wait, no, it's probably better if I hold the cubes closer so they're bigger. Like,
You're trying to eat your cube?
Hello, Overinspected audience. Have you ever wondered about what's really going on inside of these little thingamajigs? Well, this one's a GAN12, I think, and then this is a Waylong, what is it? GTSRM or something like that, I forget. But in this episode, we're talking about cubing hardware.
Man, indeed.
How much has changed over the years?
Dude, it's crazy because there's so many different types of just 3x3s available, and I know as a new cuber, sometimes it can be very confusing to try and figure out okay, I get it, they're all Rubik's cubes, but some of them are kind of different than others. But I think we've already talked about that in the past, but today we want to talk a little bit about, I guess, recent updates to speed cubing hardware, and particularly how the market is getting kind of confusing. Chai, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, I was thinking about how when we were doing season 1, and I was thinking about the hardware that was available to us at the time. It was something like the GAN12, as Carrie mentioned.
So, voice of the sky context here. We're laughing because Chai's cat decided to groom himself very publicly. So, it's very funny. If you want to see it, it's on YouTube.
Oh, it's cute, it's cute.
Number one speed cubing podcast in the world, by the way.
Oh, fact check it. Oh, brother. Okay. Anyways, that's our date. That's
all right. Thank you.
That's really good because
special
that
guest
was
latte.
that was our daily cameo.
I like how it was perfectly framed because it was just over your shoulder.
Yeah.
You could have if it was behind you, we wouldn't have seen it.
Oh, hey, only on this podcast. No other podcast would have. Oh my goodness.
God, just make sure if you guys ever decide to, make sure you have some privacy, guys. Have some privacy. Don't be like my son. Anyways, continuing on. I think I'm just gonna go back to where I last remember. So, in season 1, we had a lot of different cubes. The GAN12. We had the Tornado version 2. There was the MoU WRM 20. I don't know. There was a billion MoU WRMs, right? And it's not just 3x3s that have had this issue. Other types of puzzles have had this issue too. But there was just this question of is there really a difference? Especially with something like the RS Theme 2020 come into play. I have one. It's in my living room right now. It's a budget cube worth $10, but the top cubes in the world are solving on it, right? And then when we took when we finished season 1 and booting up season 2, we were thinking about some of the stuff that has changed or some of the stuff that hasn't changed. And I thought a really interesting topic to talk about is the hardware, because of how saturated the market was up until the point of our break. I don't know if you guys felt this way, but up until maybe 3-4 months ago, there was nothing exciting about cubing hardware. There was nothing new. It was the DNMA 3x3, something like the MS3X, something like that with a billion adjustments, and there just wasn't anything interesting, worth our money, and all these gimmicky releases with gimmicky updates. But I don't know. Did you guys get any cubes in the last 6 months?
Nope.
Not counting the recent releases.
Nope. The last cube I got was this guy, the good old Tornado V2. This is the last cube I got. I think this I got. When did I even get this? Whenever my little magic died. Sometime it was either early last year or very late 2021. When I got the Tornado V2. But since then I have not bought a single cube.
The Tornado V2 is still one of my favorite cubes to turn to this day.
Yeah.
I have 2 of them. I have the Cubers Home version and the regular V2, and that stuff is just really, really good. But at the time, it wasn't the most popular cube because of its corner cutting. However, I think these days, I like to think that I was a prophet because I was a trendsetter with the V2. I remember everyone on Twitch,
That's
on my
true.
Twitch chat would be like, "Why are you maining a V2, dude?" Like,
I think that's
Really?
true. I don't think
Yeah.
I did not get the V2 until I think you told me that, hey, look, like, you know, if you're looking for a new cube, V2 is a great option. And it really
Yeah.
is. It really is a really good option because I feel like one of the things that, and this is something that we can get into later, but I feel like the feel of the puzzle is just right. There's something
Yeah,
about
it's
how
just-
it's like blocky, but also like kind of well, maybe not even blocky. It's just very smooth. That's the first thing I get out of it, and I haven't put any lube into this. It's just very smooth out of the box, and it feels very crisp. And I feel like
yeah.
and I guess like where I'm going with this is like going back even further than a couple months ago. Ever since I want to say maybe the Waylong version 2 perhaps. Cubing hardware, well, actually probably a little bit more ahead than that. Maybe more like, do you guys remember the GAN UM and SM?
Yeah, I remember those.
I feel like-
was not a fan.
I feel like, oh really? I kind of liked it. I kind of liked the UM a little bit. Anyway, I feel like starting from that era, we moved away from like the time where speed cubes would be significantly different from one another. And by significant, I mean like there would be very big differences in between the corner cutting, the weight, the size, stickerless, non-stickerless. There were a lot of like macro factors that you could point to and say, well, okay, let's say like you have a very fast turnstile and you're really concerned about corner cutting. Well, then this cube is like objectively a better cube for you. Nowadays, you know, after that, you know, that point of like what I feel like is the UMSM era, from there we've started to enter a period of speed cubing hardware where it seems like almost every puzzle, like most puzzles are extremely similar in the macro variables. Almost every puzzle has good corner cutting. Almost every puzzle has like the same weight, has the same customization options now. But it really comes down to a bit of an intangible. I feel like feel has really taken over as what people are looking for, what the top speed cubers are looking for, at least in terms of buying a new puzzle. Do you guys agree with that, or am I just off base here?
Well, one thing it kind of reminds me of is like with Apple and the iPhones, that like once you sort of solve all the really glaring issues, like you still have to keep selling iPhones and you also have to keep selling Rubik's Cubes. So I think the changes become more and more minute, but there's still a feeling of like I want to have what the top cubers, or I guess the top tech reviewers have. So it's like every single cube can corner cut, you know, like 45 degrees easily. It's like if it doesn't, it wouldn't be on the market today.
Yeah, and every single cube is fast, right?
Yeah.
Like every single cube is fast. Every single cube doesn't pop. Like all of these like basic metrics. Like every single cube has magnets. Every single cube has
right. Yeah.
compression. Like as the details start to get more and more minute, every single cube has it. So it's pretty crazy. But the way I view like cubing hardware is, to me, the reason why I feel like the market is very saturated is because we haven't had like this big cube come out. So for example, and I don't know, you're a history buff, right, Manu?
Yeah.
Carrie, are you a history buff?
I think for types of history that aren't cubing related, like
Well, no, it's not cubing related, but I guess I was using it as like a reference or a comparison, and I could be wrong with the definitions because I'm not sure, but one of them was the Enlightenment, right? And
Sure.
I don't know how long ago that was, but it was just a new way of thinking, stuff like that, science.
Yeah.
are you waiting for an enlightenment within the cubing hardware scene?
I mean, sort of, but
We need another one.
what's another one? What's it called? The Renaissance? I don't know what the
Renaissance,
Renaissance.
yeah.
The Renaissance. What was that about? I don't know, Manu. If you could elaborate a little
Renaissance was so the Renaissance was, I think it came after when I think Renaissance, I think of like Da Vinci and like the Italian Renaissance. So like a lot of people go back to like Michelangelo and like studies of the old Greek masters, things like that. It was when Europe was coming out of the Dark Ages, I believe. And, you know,
So coming out of the Dark Ages.
Yeah. There was a lot of
Got it.
scientific work also done during the Renaissance.
Got it. And then the third one I think of is like the Industrial Revolution.
Okay.
And then we had a lot of changes in the world from these moments, a way of thought, mechanical integration in our livelihood, stuff like that, factories,
Yeah.
right? And then you compare that to cubing, right? Like, it's pretty easy. Somewhere in the 2010s, you fit the Diane Zanchi in there. Like, that's pretty cookie cutter. The Diane Zanchi is somewhere there because of its ability to, just be fast, corner cut, stuff like that. Somewhere in there is the Lunhoi, the Diane Lunhoi with the torpedoes.
Mm-hmm.
So now cubes would no longer pop, right? I actually had that cube, which is crazy. I never thought I would have a Lunhoi of all things. Yeah. And then, in my opinion, I think one of the cubes that fits that kind of huge leap, quantum leap in cubing hardware is the what's it called? The Moyu. God,
Outlaw?
what's the
Outlaw?
Moyu? No, the Moyu. I mean, yes, but the one I'm thinking of is the first magnetized, factory magnetized puzzle.
I actually don't know.
Oh.
The Moyu GTS Weilong GT. No, but you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Well,
GTS 2M, the Moyu
Okay.
GTS 2M.
Yeah, I think that might be right. The
that's
GTS
the-
2M. Holy
yeah.
moly.
But that's the most recent cube where I think, reasonably speaking, you could say that was a quantum leap in cubing
Yeah.
hardware. Because before that, right, all the cube companies, the cube stores would mark it up, install them themselves, stuff like that. So I thought that was a huge jump.
Yeah.
Now that's just my opinion. But that was like in 2016. And it's 2023, guys. It's hard to say that it's 2023. But there's nothing that's kind of had a significant impact on the market like that. Which is pretty crazy to say because it's just not exciting. I wonder if Cube stores feel it a little bit in their sales, but it's just one of those things. I kind of like compare cubing to that. I guess there's just nothing super revolutionary, and it's kind of like I don't know what's revolutionary. If I knew, I would do it, but I wish someone knew. You know?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll amend it a little bit. I think you're more or less spot on. I think one thing that's really big of cubes these days is customizability. Before, if you wanted to customize your cube, you had to put the magnets in yourself. You had to adjust the tensions yourself. And you had to. We used to do methods of like the quarter turn method, right? You'd like measure how many quarter turns, or like you would loosen everything out all the way, and then you would put everything back in, so you make sure that you get everything is exactly right. But nowadays, for example, like in here, I can pop off the center, and then I can just get my tool. I can get it exactly where I want it to be, and I know like if I do that on all the other sides, it'll end up being exactly the same. So that I feel like is another major innovation that is more recent than just magnets and cubes. Also, not to mention, you can also customize the magnet strength. It's super simple. I remember before there was a GANcube, I forget which one, where it came with a separate little magnets tin, and you could replace the magnets. But there was a separate tin for it. And
I
then
forgot which GAN that was. That was a good idea, but
yeah, there was also like the
Did it
hex
not
lock
take off?
system. Do you guys remember the hex lock system where like they were like purple nuts that you would use or blue nuts? if
yeah,
you wanted
it
to.
was like color coded.
Yeah, and I think that was a replacement because those GameCubes didn't have springs in them. The springs were in the nuts themselves. So that's how you would mess around with the spring tensions back then.
You know what? This brings up an interesting. I actually want to ask both of you guys. If you guys have an answer to this, I'm curious. So, what is your favorite spring system, core system?
The Tornado V2.
You like the Tornado V2 spring compression?
I think the Tornado. So as just a pure consumer, I think the Tornado V2 spring system is the most intuitive and one of the easiest spring systems to use. Granted, I haven't tried out many, and the ones that I do remember are me having to like tighten the springs myself, do the spring swaps, right? So the fact that I don't have to do that anymore, that I can get exactly the tensions I want. It takes like one simple tool, which it comes with, and granted is somewhat easy to lose, but you can still just you can do it by hand. It's very simple. I think that this tensioning system is a real innovation, and one of the main reasons why this is such a popular cube even to this day.
Yeah, Carrie, what do you think?
Interesting.
Do you have a thought about the compression?
I feel like I don't do enough setup to know, because like I usually just buy cubes and then like stick with the settings they have.
Interesting.
But I think, just based on like what I've seen on YouTube, I do have to say that when I saw J Perm's video of that GANcube where you just like push like the spring kind of through the cube layer itself and it'll just like pop out and replace it, I thought that was like a really clever idea, even if it like didn't become what all the companies were doing.
Yeah.
Like I respect them for trying.
Yeah, that pushing the magnet thing looked cool. I just don't think it was practical, you know, especially this wasn't practical. Like, dude, the amount of this is a tangent, okay? The amount of this is a sidebar. Extra stuff that cube companies give you that is not a cube bag, that is not a cube stand, and is not the cube is utterly ridiculous.
Utterly.
Like we have literally
pamphlet.
Like, do we really need? I get it. Okay, maybe we do need a screwdriver with every. Do we need a screwdriver in every freaking cube? Like,
I know.
Just make your screws like make the screws standardized, so then I don't need to go. We don't need to put a screwdriver in every bag. I can just have one screwdriver that I can use for some random nut or bolt that's sitting around in my house, and for my cube. Or one I can use for my computer, and also one I can use for my cube. It's a lot easier to do it that way. And if I ever lose it, it's easy to get a replacement. I don't need to go out of my way to buy a specialty piece of plastic, essentially, that I'm only going to use for one purpose. Multi-purpose tools.
and I get it. Like, obviously they have tutorial stuff like that, like paper stuff. The sponsored Cuber cards and them, dude, I cannot.
Oh, that's
bother.
right.
I actually do hate those. So
I get what they were going with that. It was like
I get what they're going with it. But I'm gonna be honest, like there was so much extra stuff they send you on there, and when you say the magnet pushing system, just reminds me of that. When I think of the GAN like GES system,
The GES
makes me think of that. Dude, literally the worst system, the Valk 3 Elite, was a GAN knockoff, and it was so bad.
Really?
You had to they gave you center caps to change the magnet strength. Do you remember this? You would have to change the center cap in order to change the. Yeah, the Valk Elite. You guys not remember this?
I don't remember. I never.
They would give you
yeah.
an extra set, not just one extra set. They would give you like 2 or 3 extra set of center caps to change the magnet. So stupid. That was an absolute.
It's kind of weird to think that you could replace you can change the magnet setting by changing the center caps. That seems a little odd to me.
I think it's because they had like edge to center magnets.
Edge to
so
I see.
Yeah, that's how they did it. Yeah, the Valk 3 Elite, it was all right, but it was a little bit of flop. But you know what, Chi, they came back because after that they came out with the X-Man, right, version 2, and then when I thought cubing could not be more awesome, when I lost faith in cubing humanity when the GAN 13 came out at $70 freaking.
Oh my god, yeah.
Wait, wrong cube. This cube came out. The Tornado V3. This is the epitome of a perfect cube. The perfect core system is in this cube just from the version 2, but even better, it has a freaking handlebar. You can actually use your hand to change everything.
That's literally that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's perfect.
So genius. The magnet adjustment system, no need to change it. It is primary internals now, so it looks sleek. Also, I don't know if it's a theory or untheory. Primary internals feels better. That's just my opinion.
Oh, that sounds like a placebo.
You think it's a placebo? I don't think it's a placebo.
There's no way.
I don't know. And dude, this thing corner cuts like crazy. Just feels so awesome, plush, quiet, fast, tactile, amazing. So this thing came out, and I would say it's not like a revolutionary release. It's just a release with micro level improvements across the board, and it equated to what I would call the perfect cube.
Yeah.
But
wow.
that's not to say I don't enjoy the cubes. It's just the version, like, I still love the version 2, like, because of the feel. And,
It's so good.
you know, yeah, and realistically, like, are you going to be faster? And this is where this whole cubing hardware saturation thing comes into play. Like, are you actually going to be faster? I mean, who knows? Like, you were able to get results, the same results way back from 5 years ago with the same hardware. But it's just so much nicer. It's just like the epitome, the pinnacle performance of cubes is how I like to think about the version 3.
Right. And this is something that we talked about before.
Sponsor you and. Oh.
Yeah, Chi should sponsor you to like.
I was gonna say, like, is this a paid ad reading? At a certain point, I was like,
dude, honestly, Chi saved us from a world of GAN.
Yeah,
imagine a world where your option was RS3 and GAN.
Okay, well, wait, I want to get back to that, but one thing.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I want to say before. Oh wait, no. Oh no, I forgot what I was going to say. I was gonna say something, and I thought it was cool. What were you talking about before? Before you mentioned the thing with GAN.
I was just talking about how the Tornado V3 is the definition of peak performance.
That's what I was gonna say, because you said that there was something like, you know, you can get the same results with you can get the similar results with cubes you had from 5 years ago, right? But this is something that we've mentioned before, that it's not just about like the fact that the hardware is getting better. Sometimes the hardware is only marginally getting better, but what really matters is sometimes getting a new cube can give you like it's like the placebo of like this feels better, whether or not it actually is better or not, and that feels better can be motivation for you to practice more. And that
yeah, I remember us talking about this.
That catalyst I think is really, really, really important. Because, you know, like it's very easy to kind of like get into like stuck in a rut. You buy a new cube, all of a sudden you find yourself playing with it more because, you know, it's a new toy. you want to play with the new toy, and then the more you play with it, the more practice you're doing subconsciously, or you know, or conscious. You're sitting down, you're trying it out, trying to mess with it, trying to figure out how to make it better, and that is just a catalyst, or an excuse, if you will, to do practice. So I think that's an important reason as to like why new cubes still need to be coming out into the market, even if there are only small changes that can be made to like try and like improve them on like their previous iterations. And I think it's similar to what we see going back to the cell phone market, right? We see that like phones these days are like the improvements they make are relatively minor. You know, most phones have a pretty good camera. They have pretty good processing power. If you need extra storage, there are lots of cloud storage options, and most networks have like some pretty good connectivity. But there are just like small differences between cell phones that make them more fun to use, easier to use. Software is improving, and I think that continues to drive the cell phone market, even though we've kind of capped out. I mean, there are literally phones that Apple sells that are basically, it's slightly newer hardware, but it has the same form factor as the old phones. It's just that they can run the better OSs now. But they have the the SE, right? That's what it's called. It's the
SE. It was like a previous version. Yeah. Even the new phones, iPhone 13 to 14, I believe, was almost exactly the same.
Yeah. It's just like some small rehash of something that, you know, consumers liked a while ago, and you just bring it back and just spruce it up a little bit, and people want it. So I think it's a similar thing that happens in the cube market. There's this whole tangent was to say that. Anyway, I think back to RS3 versus GAN. I think that's a really interesting point that they're like Qi stepping into the picture and delivering a quality product diversifies the cubing market.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Go ahead, Kerry.
I was just like, you know, maybe it'll force GAN to lower their prices because maybe the way they're able to get away with $70 cubes is because they're the only ones in that.
If you're saying I get sponsored by Chi, I guess I would be GAN's arch nemesis. Like, dude, GAN, come on. Like, your cubes are so goddamn expensive.
Dude, I feel like we can make an entire episode about just the history of GAN, right? How, like, before there were the big boys like Dion, right? And then, you know, GAN kind of appears somewhat out of nowhere, creates like this really like premium product, and you know the cubes are great, right? They're really good for their era, But then now it's like, as time has gone on, GAN has kind of become like, at least to me, it feels like GAN has become a villain like a lot of different ways. I remember the $70 cube, and that's still a thing we're talking about to this day, right? This stupid piece of plastic costs $70. Like and people are out there are buying it. People are selling it, which is crazy. I think
it could be like,
I think that's very interesting.
Beats by Dre.
We could write an entire episode on it. Sorry, go ahead, Kerry.
I was gonna say it could be like Beats by Dre, where most of the cost is like marketing or like brand association.
You know what I find difficult about GAN sometimes is sometimes they do releases that are like a slap in the face. Like what they'll do is like, I think they did this with the GAN Air, because the GAN Air had like a billion different like ultimate versions, the basic version. They came out with like a basic version that had no adjustment features, and they sold it at like $35. And I'm like, bruh.
At the time, that's a lot. Because
Just
most
like,
cubes at the time were selling for maybe 20.
yeah, I was like, dang, how are you still marking these up so much? But obviously, look, I don't know what they what their expenses are with R&D, stuff like that,
Right,
production.
true.
So at the end of the day, I can't really say to that. I guess we should probably pivot a little bit to a piece of what we would call hardware innovation. And I don't know if you guys have like 2 cents regarding it, because it kind of goes into this new hardware that we're talking about with the V3. But a new piece of innovation that has come out is Maglev and core magnetization.
Yeah.
So Maglev, just if you guys don't know, as
I was gonna tell you that. Yeah, you should explain.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know, so I'd love to hear.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, basically most cubes are magnetized between a corner piece and an edge piece of a cube. And what that means is, I think there's 48 magnets across the entire cube. I think it's 48.
Yeah, because like each edge would be responsible for 4, and there's 12 edges.
I think it's 48.
Yeah.
I think it's 48. Wow, we all paused for like a hot second thinking about that one. But anyways,
Math class.
yeah, what a lot of cubes will
time.
do, including the premium versions, I believe the Pioneer version and the flagship version of the V3 have the core magnets, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they have core magnetization. That's when you have magnets in the corner stock of a cube, and then magnets built into the core of the puzzle. So you have effectively another contact point of magnets. Now what's interesting about core magnets is if you have edge magnets and corner core magnets, because of the axle distance, or you know how a cube rotates? There's very minimal distance between a corner to core relationship, so you can quickly twist when you turn one side of a cube. It hits another magnet very quickly in comparison to the larger radius or circumference of the edges and the corners. So it has a more cohesive feel, but also a more tactile, stronger magnetic feel. I don't really have a good way to explain it, but you can only feel it if you have a non-core magnetic equivalent. But it is definitely prevalent. It's a smoother puzzle.
Yeah, smoother sounds right.
Yeah, it's a smoother puzzle, and it is a little bit more tactile.
I feel like you would also need fewer magnets then, because if it's only 1 in each corner and 1 in the core, then you only have 16.
Yeah, they're not 1-to-1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're not 1-to-1. You can only have 4 magnets on the core at any moment. Am I right?
4?
I think so. Because there's only 4. No, 8. Sorry, there's only 8. Sorry, did I say 4?
Yeah, you did say
4.
Yeah.
I was thinking like
there's only 8 magnets on a core.
8 magnets on the core and 8 magnets in the corner pieces, so it's still 16. But that's 1/3 of 48. So I don't know if that would lower cost at all.
But
I have no idea.
But I think so with the core magnet puzzles. So are the core magnets an addition on top of edge magnets, or are they like, or is it like one or the other kind of?
Usually cubes come with both. So the core magnets is usually an additional feature to the already magnets. Like there is not a cube that only has core magnets. In fact, when I said I had the Cubers Home V2, Cubers Home was one of the first modifying manufacturers to add a core magnet feature on the V2. So the Cubers One V2 has core magnets in it, and it's really nice. It does feel a lot different, a lot smoother, tactile at the same time. Now for Maglev, one of the new introductions is Maglev, where instead of having a spring and a screw, you would have a screw and two magnetic discs repulsing against each other, which is interesting, to say the least. I have a couple thoughts about it, but how do you guys feel about either or both of these modifications or innovations?
Yeah, so
I guess like
oh, sorry, good.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I guess they help the general Cuber because it's like autocorrect in a way. Like you can kind of be less accurate with your turning and it'll snap into place. And we all know that like with autocorrect we can type faster because you don't have to focus as hard on every little thing you do.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Although
Because I think before Magnus people might just say like, oh, just turn more accurately.
that is true. That is a
But-
thing that people would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't say that anymore, huh?
Yeah. I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's interesting that you mentioned autocorrect, because I think I think the analogy works, because I have a friend who she actually doesn't use autocorrect on her phone because sometimes she feels like it corrects things that she doesn't want to correct, which is interesting, because I know that there's sometimes like you don't want too much magnetic strength because it can mess up the force that's required in order to do your turns. So unless you set the levels down to like the lowest level, and even if you do, sometimes it might be too strong if you have the 48 magnets and then you have an additional 16 magnets. That's like 64 magnets. So the more magnets that you add, maybe makes it harder for you to turn. I don't know if people have experienced that, but that's something I can think of. Although I think corner magnets sound kind of cool. As for Maglev, I have no idea like how. Like I get that like there's the magnets levitating on top of each other, but the fact that you can construct a mechanism like that to begin with is really really cool, I think, and that it provides. I mean physically I understand that it can provide the same resistance that a spring would, right? Like you can imagine there's like a Hooke's law, if you will, for magnet to magnet interactions, but it's still very interesting to think about how there's a space in between, which is providing no resistance to the magnet at all. Very very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gary.
I guess just another thing is it just sounds really futuristic. And
Yeah.
as we were saying earlier, sometimes it's just motivating like kids to get into cubing again for whatever reason might be all you need to get them to practice.
Yeah.
No, yeah, the name is actually very, very marketable. It just sounds cool. It sounds futuristic, as Carrie said. In practice, the idea for Maglev, I'm not really sure what cubing manufacturers actually advertise for Maglev. But I'm gonna be honest with the V3, I don't feel much of a difference with Maglev versus just a regular spring compression system. What I will say is that for Maglev, you don't need to lube hardware, the core anymore.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's.
I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think the rotation between one of the disc magnets and the top of the screw is as big as an issue as
Right.
a spring and a screw.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
So you don't have to lube it anymore, just like a 4x4 core.
Yeah, it's less contact points, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's also like something that happens with springs where if you like squish and stretch a spring like 1,000 times, it'll like lose some of its like springing power.
That's probably true. Where a magnet wouldn't have that issue.
Yeah, like I think a magnet would stay that way forever.
Yeah, so
longer.
I guess Maglev by default provides longevity. In theory, it should make your cube faster. In practice, I can't really tell the difference. Truthfully. And because I can't tell the difference, I tend to find Maglev a bit gimmicky. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where I think it sounds a lot cooler than it is. You know,
It is like
Spring
practically.
is. Yeah, Springs was just one of those things where it wasn't broken. Why are we fixing it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I feel like it is probably pretty gimmicky. I don't know if I've tried a Maglev puzzle before, and if I have, then I straight up do not remember. And I guess that kind of speaks to your point. But I think it is probably, it feels at least a little bit more gimmicky. But hey, you know, gimmicks aren't all bad. You know, if you go into a gimmick knowing fully well that it is a gimmick, then are you really getting gimmicked in the end? Think about it.
Yeah, it's pretty true. And at the end of the day, you know, they're making money. They're doing, and also it's not just they're making money. You gotta, and this is the part where the saturation part of the market, you gotta give the manufacturers a lot of credit. They're throwing things on the wall and seeing what sticks, right? So by throwing Maglev on the wall, maybe they take that innovation and they contort it into something else much more substantial. But they wouldn't know unless they actually sold or developed the product.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe it's just Maglev is just the first step to something even bigger, even better than we ever did.
Interesting.
But yeah, I don't know. Maglev, at the moment, it's okay. But, you know what's better than okay?
The Tornado.
Yes, definitely better than okay. But the RSCM Super, baby.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's the one
RSCM
that-
Super. This is
You know,
a great puzzle. Oh,
I-
man.
When you called me like a few days ago talking about it, and I just bought it impulsively, like right then, right
That's
there.
right. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
which code did you use?
Oh, I used Chai,
Oh my
CHAI, for 5% off. Was it 10% off? I don't remember. I saved so much money. It was like 74 cents. I think
Hey.
that like maybe I'll do it again.
Better than
And
zero.
maybe like viewers should do it again too. Like,
Wait,
if
did
they're
you
really-
receive the cube, though?
No, not yet. It's only been like 3 days, right?
Oh, man. Okay, we'll get it soon. We'll get it soon.
Oh, we'll just pretend like they all look the same if you cover up the logo. This one doesn't even have a logo, so here it is.
There
Yeah.
is the RSTM Super.
I don't
Yeah.
know, Manu, you have an RCM Super?
I don't actually, but
Did you
I
try it?
I think I tried yours yesterday. Wait, did I try yours yesterday? I don't remember. Actually, no. I think I was just doing Mega Minx all day yesterday. But no, I haven't tried it. So describe it to me.
Oh, man. I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing. But to me, this cube feels like the cube equivalent to an NPC.
NPC,
It's
non-playable
it's-
character.
Just, it's very, very, it's very, very, like,
How is it
bland
an NPC?
and
Oh my
not
goodness!
special.
What a description, man!
In
I've
in
never
its
heard.
feel.
I've
Hold on,
never
hold on.
heard anyone
You know what?
describe thing like a cube
You know
as an
what?
NPC.
Well, do you guys remember the Yushin Huanlong 3x3?
I do. The
Yeah.
Do you remember
I
how
don't
like
remember.
not? Do you remember how not distinct that puzzle was? Like it was just so plain to feel.
Well, I just straight up don't remember it. So.
Oh, anyways,
That
if you
might be
guys
why.
know the Yushin Huanlong, a very plain feel. This is a similar thing. It's like blocky, smooth, fast, or not the fastest cube in the market. Good corner cutting, but very very plain, right? And I find that it's not a bad thing. And I don't know, there's just something about it. Man, this thing turns great. Like, the performance is off the charts. I've also considered switching from the V3 to this. I might stick with the V3.
I feel like it's so surprising that like I hear you say it's like an NPC, so I think you're gonna have like super negative reviews of it, and then now you're saying it's like, oh, I might make it my main. So it's
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
the lesson is NPCs aren't all bad, you know.
Oh, that's
Well,
very
the
true,
favorite-
very true.
My favorite thing about this is just that this version here, this is the base model, $10.
Oh, there we go. There we go. That's incredible.
Like, that's reason enough to, you know, flip off GAN because
Yeah.
It's
You
like
could buy
I cannot get behind a $70 puzzle.
you could buy 6 supers. Remember, we're pretending this is a super. Take apart the colors and make like a fully white, super fully red, super fully green, super, and so on.
Oh yeah.
For less money than a single GANcube.
That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy.
Do you guys want to do a prediction?
Okay, let's hear it.
Oh, for
Because
where
I think
hardware's gonna go.
we're running close to the end of this episode, but
Yeah,
I'm thinking
I
of a
think-
prediction of which company and when is going to come out with the quote unquote revolutionary cube. However, here's the catch. To make this prediction more interesting, we can look back on this.
Yeah.
The catch is it doesn't have to be 3x3. Any WCA legal
Interesting.
puzzle. Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
You guys,
Interesting.
so any company, any event in the legal WCA event, and then when is that gonna happen? You don't need to give an exact time, but a roughly accurate time.
That's actually kind of hard when you
Oh.
put it up to any event.
So this is expanding even further outside of events. I was thinking of timers. Like, I
Ooh.
think
Okay.
this is
That's a
something
good
that
one.
like, yeah, it would be exciting to see more companies like trying to make better timers.
I have a whole podcast episode planned on. At least I think we talked about it in the past also, but timers are a major problem. So
Timers are.
Yeah.
we can talk. I could talk
And it's
all
like
day
it
about
affects
timers.
all events. So,
Yeah.
or I guess not multi-blind,
No.
but like, you know, if
Okay.
you fix if you fix like Pyraminx, only the Pyraminx cubers are gonna care. But timers affect everyone.
That's interesting. I'll give a little bit of an oddball answer. I'll give you something outside of the WCA events. I think a big one. I think we're gonna see a good FTO.
Oh,
I think we might see a good FTO. Maybe within a year from now, 2023. It's not crazy, you know. I think the cube saw a lot of growth in 2020. Some of that has fallen off, at least from discussions that I've heard at least. But hey, the FTO cubers are still as active. They're still out there breaking records, and I don't think it's crazy for us to finally get an FTO. And you know what? The innovation doesn't have to be super major either. It just needs to turn better than the stock FTO. That's all we're really asking for. Magnets, sure, if you can do it, that'd be great. But really, a stickerless FTO, that would improve performance.
Oh, wow.
If you
'Cause,
could just like sand down the FTO a little bit, add like the whatever these holes are in cubes, give a little bit of corner cutting, it would just be so much better.
True.
yeah.
That's a good answer, to be honest.
I guess what I'll say is that it's low hanging fruit, right? Look, cubing companies, Chi, GAN, Moyu, we have this puzzle that people play with, that there's a real community behind, and the hardware out there is just very bad. Any generally available hardware is just poor. If you want a good FTO, you have to either modify yourself or get it sent to someone to modify. It's low hanging fruit. I don't know how these things, how like manufacture works. I'm sure that there's a lot of stuff that goes on with like molds and stuff. But if you can make an innovation where the plastic is smoother, stickerless, magnets, improved corner cutting, less popping, anything. It's out there. The world is your oyster.
That could be the spark that makes it official, because
Exactly.
I think in a way like Square One really only kind of got revitalized when Chi made the Square One in like 2015 or 16.
The
And-
bolt.
I don't remember. I just remember like Square One felt like it had a big explosion. in, like, 2016,
the
17.
the cheese square one.
Oh,
the
maybe it was
original
just it was just
Square
called
one.
the cheese square one, maybe.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
it was the original cheese square one.
Yeah,
That was
that's
a
the
good
one I was
puzzle.
thinking, because I was using a Calvin's puzzle before then, and it was just like night and day difference
Right.
from one to the other. So I guess what I'm saying is like there aren't that many FTO solvers because the hardware's not there, and then like that could also result in not being official yet.
Right. Right. It's a feedback. I mean, they're both of them are gonna play off each other.
Yeah, actually a better example of that is Cube, of course, because that
Oh, yeah.
did become official.
Yeah.
Do you have a prediction for the company to do the FTO?
I don't
Or
know.
Is this a call to action?
It is
Call
a
to-
CTA. Hey, look, like guys, like it's not even CTA. It's really more like, it's really just more like a notification. what is the word? Like I'm really just like letting it be known that this is a problem that needs solved. And I don't know how difficult the solution is because you don't need to come up with something really crazy. You just need to make a minor innovation, and it'll be big.
I'm gonna be honest. That I find it. I can't guarantee this, but in my opinion, in my perception of the world, and I know it's like the chicken or the egg, which came first. If a company comes out with a speed solvable FTO, I can guarantee that the WCA will make it an official event.
Wow.
I don't have
strong words.
And I don't have insider information, but truthfully, the expectations, the hype, the potential like race up to the top of the ladder, like it will be extremely fast paced. World records will be broken every single weekend, right? And then people will get PRs. Like, dude, people care about PR streaks, right? And this is like, this is going to be a huge like rebirth in WCA interest, not just from the FTO community, in my opinion, because the FTO is just such an easily digestible puzzle, but it's not like a 2x2. It's not like a Scube or Pura. It's a different type of puzzle. I guess to kind of wrap up the predictions, I'll give a prediction because I guess I asked the question. In the WCA, I think the event that's going to have a huge innovation, maybe even an invention, a reinvention of what a puzzle looks like. I think 4x4 something's going to change with 4x4 in a massive way. I think there is still room for improvement in 4x4. I think core magnets is a great
hardware.
Yeah, I think it's a great first step in maybe I don't know what is possible with 4x4, but I think 4x4 something is going to happen, and 4x4 will no longer be considered an event where the hardware is just always slightly worse than a 5x5, because that's always how it's perceived. And I think 4x4 is going to happen. I think it's going to happen. Well, it's the beginning of 2023, so I'll say it'll happen November, December 2023. I think it'll be done this year. I think 4x4 hasn't had a good release in a while. The MDC, right? The WRM. It's been a couple years, and there's improvements to be made. And I actually think it's probably not going to be Chi. No, it's not going to be the YJ MDC, or it's not going to be from YJ. It's not going to be from Moyu. It'll probably be. I want to say Chi. But something about me is telling me that Diane's going to do something.
Wow.
Diane.
This is a take. Wow.
Yeah, it's a hot take. It's a real hot take.
It's really spicy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, didn't Diane go into like Pyramixes for a while?
They did.
They did. They went into Scube too.
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
But yeah.
GAN also makes 4x4s, right?
They do.
Yeah, but
it was like the 460 or something.
Garbo. Right? Yeah.
I was gonna say like, kind of as a joke, like what if they release a 4x4 and make it like $100? But I actually just searched it. The 4x4 is cheaper than a 3x3, so I guess.
Oh.
Yeah, they're on one. I can't already, my mood is already ruined because we talked about GAN. Man.
Okay, I shouldn't bring up GAN. I shouldn't bring up
sensitive topic.
The unspoken company. Do not say the phrase.
The company that shall not be named, huh?
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
It's
Again.
I know. Oh my goodness.
No, we're not gonna say it. Anyway, I think, those are predictions for the future. Come back in a couple years when we're all right.
Or just all wrong. I would be surprised.
We're all wrong. Subscribe if we turn out to be right, and if we're wrong, like or leave comments correcting us, because that's still engagement.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because like we're not gonna realize we're wrong unless you comment it at least 10 times per account.
Yeah, oh yeah, for
sure. Be as loud as you can in the comments.
It might really help if you put Marquez Brownlee and change your profile picture to MK BHD.
What's it, impersonate him?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're,
This goes back to like the verification badge. He's
Yeah,
got the
you're
verification
literally-
badge.
you're literally pushing our YouTube audience to commit identity theft. Identity theft is not a crime, Michael.
It's not.
Oh wait.
Well, not.
So no, sorry.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
I bungled it too because
There's nothing wrong with.
because Dwight says identity crime is not a crime. Identity theft
No,
is
it's
not
not
a
a
joke
joke.
to Jim. That's what he says it to.
Oh, not a joke.
He, and he doesn't say it to Michael.
Dude.
It would have been so funny if he said it to Michael
Yeah.
and I didn't mess up the joke.
No. Impersonation is fine with the internet because like everyone does it.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Hey, have you been exercising in the office, Manu?
Yes, I've been doing the aisle runs.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
I'm glad
yeah.
you're doing it, because, like, dude, my feet are killing me, but I'd imagine if I sat 24 hours a day, it'd be tough.
Hey, standing desk, baby.
Yeah.
Alright,
Yeah,
anyway.
so if you guys are in, the office and then you feel like you're working like 10, 12-hour days, like a lot, try doing some aisle runs, like, running between the aisles back and forth, stuff like that. It might help get your blood flowing and maybe just get your mind off of things for a while.
I know that the Apple Watch like can do this thing where every hour it'll just like ping you to get up, and then it'll have like a streak so that if you miss it once and you have like a 50-day streak, you lose that streak. So
Yeah, so you got to use the Apple
Wow.
Watch to kind of help you stay consistent, for sure.
Wow.
yeah, I don't have an
awesome.
Apple Watch, by the way. I don't
Not
want people
sponsored.
thinking. I'm not
Sponsored by Apple.
Yo.
Well, I feel like the fact that I brought up GAN and the fact that I brought up Apple iPhones makes it sound like I'm like somehow like this shill for these overpriced products. But I do not have an Apple Watch, so like I only brought them up because it was like an interesting feature they had.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Fair enough.
Anyway, thank you for watching our episode about cubing hardware. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Have
Much
a
cute.
wonderful day.
Yes, have a wonderful. What will be like February
February
20 something.
something or other.
It's
Yeah.
sometime in the time.
Sometime in the
Yeah.
time. I kind of like that. That's complete nonsense,
Yeah.
but I like that.